All right, so that's going to do it for our quick bits. Now we're going to go on to Pokemon Sword and or Shield. Um, I have not been playing this, but Derrick has, and I'm kind of going to let him take over, give his spiel on it. I guess we'll start with, what did you get, Sword or Shield, or both?
Um, I have Pokemon Shield, but
Mm-hmm.
my son, I had gotten Pokemon Sword because him and my brother are playing that.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of had like a small group of friends that we knew everybody would be playing it, so we kind of like broke up and decided who would want what. So we'd have like even trading, being able to get everything from both games. So I've seen, at least from my brother playing, quite a bit of Sword, and I think the big difference between the two is that two of the gym leaders are different.
Okay.
Usually in like the older Pokemon games, it's always just been like, one has some different Pokemon, the other has some different, but like the core of the game's been the same.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure this is the first time that it's actually had two different gym leaders between the games for their types of what they use.
Okay. Is that cool? What does that add? What does that mean?
Um,
For me, for someone who's never really played a Pokemon game very much, what does that equate to?
I think it's just like for planning, so it kind of gives you something a little bit different than just hunting for the Pokemon. So like for the people that have like that go out and buy both versions of the game, it's going to give them something a little bit different because they're going to come across a different encounter going into one of these gyms
Okay.
because it's not the same leader or type that was in the other one that he played.
Okay.
So it's like it's real minor, but
Yeah.
like for the collectors and the people that always have like both versions of the games, it could be something big to them.
Okay. So instead of it
Um,
being almost two of the exact same games, there's a little bit of new stuff earlier on.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
a little bit of variance for everybody. And this also is the kickoff of the eighth generation of Pokemon. So this will be the first game in this generation.
Okay.
It'll technically the second game on the Switch, even though I don't think anybody really counts Pokemon Let's Go as a full game. It was a cool
Okay.
little thing to go with that. But
Yeah, that was
yeah,
kind of a
so
remake of the first game, right?
yeah, and it kind of used like the Pokemon Go stuff where you just kind of throw and catch, and like battling doesn't really mean anything because you're not like gaining stats or
Mm-hmm.
going through like that. It was just, I guess it was kind of like more like geared into like the younger, like even younger kids, kind of bringing them in and letting them enjoy it because it was so streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for this one, the game is a little bit more linear than we're used to in past Pokemon games. Usually,
Okay.
they kind of started you out, gave you direction, but then it was up to you to find the direction, figure out where you're going to go. Are you going to find the little secrets? To where in this one I've noticed so far, it's kind of pointing you in that direction where you're supposed to go more. And I just noticed because I have it paused here in front of me. It actually gives you a tip in your pause menu of what you're supposed to be doing, and that's something you didn't have before.
Okay. So
You're
it's
kind of
kind of
just
guiding you along a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, it's guiding you along a little bit. And another thing that they've added in that's been a difference, like the biggest difference is the multiplayer aspect of it now. There's now like a central hub area called the wild area. And in
Okay.
there there's raid like battles now on what they call Dynamax Pokemon.
Okay. Yeah. These
And
those are those the big ones or the just the big ones?
I think they're just the big ones because I think
Okay.
there's also Gigantamax,
Okay.
but I think that's more like end game. Like once you complete the game, then that becomes available.
Okay.
Because at least right now in the game, it's just been talking about the Dynamax Pokemon, and then you get the ability to Dynamax one of your Pokemon to make them bigger like that.
Okay.
And they just don't get bigger. It also changes the move sets of them. So I guess for like once you Dynamax your Pokemon, it has like a preset move set that you can choose from to use then. That might be like more of an area of effect move or like a really devastating single attack move.
Okay.
And with those battles, it's up to four people. So up to three other people can join you. It's four players total. Um, So then you have like your friends can be backing you up, but at the same time, if you guys are going to do this and use these bigger moves, some affect the whole field or some just affect the enemy Pokemon. So there's with that, they did a pretty good job of incorporating multiplayer into it.
Yeah,
And
so how does it work with it being a turn-based game?
it'll put everybody into like an order.
Okay.
I believe it's based on like your Pokemon speed.
Okay.
So
So
like you'll do
it
your
isn't like
attacks.
they're all you all attack at the same time and then the enemy attacks. It's like you,
Nah, it's still it
okay.
goes through like an order.
Okay.
And I believe it's based off the speed of the Pokemon. So like the enemy might go, then you could go, then your friend could go, or if you're fighting like if it's like a 2-1-2, it would be 1-1-1-1 based on that type of order.
Okay.
Um, so it's been fun. It's mixed it up. The game looks great. If you've seen Pokemon Let's Go and played that, it's like the similar art style.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
areas have been pretty,
I've seen some of that. Yeah, that looks a pretty good
yeah,
art style. I mean, it's a pretty standard Nintendo art style where they get a lot out of a little, I would say. Like
yeah, yeah,
the
definitely.
characterization is really good, even though it's not doesn't isn't like hyper realistic or super heavy detail or something like that.
Yeah, and with this one too now, like it's a new area. It's the Galar or Galar, depending how you want to pronounce it,
Hmm.
region. And I'm not sure if there's an Elite Four, but you go through what they call the gym challenge. Because the start of this game is a little bit different. Your best friend's older brother is the champion of the region, and he kind of comes back and visits from time to time. And on one of these visits, your friend has Pokemon, but you don't. He brings you both a Pokemon, and that's how you choose your starter Pokemon. And then you set out from there. Because he kind of sees, like in the little intro bit, he sees how you interact with your Pokemon and how his little brother interacts with the Pokemon.
Hmm.
And then he chooses that he's going to endorse you because you need an endorsement to go on this gym challenge.
Okay.
And that's kind of where it takes off from there. So then it's all about that. So it's kind of why it's a little bit more streamlined than some of the others. Because before, you're taking out, you're trying to do all the stuff for like the professors, get your Pokedex, and you'd be going out trying to collect these alls, and then you'd want to go through, do all the gyms, and then get to the Elite Four. To where this one, the professors are kind of in the background a bit. Like they're the one that teach you about Dynamaxing your Pokemon and different research with that. But it's been a lot of fun. My son's 8. He's been enjoying it. He played it last weekend nonstop.
Hmm.
My brother's been on it. They've been playing a lot. He actually got like a level 100 Pokemon with his starter in like 2.5 days worth of playing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they were just grinding out, doing different things.
So it's a solid entry.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid start, and I can't wait to see how it grows from here because it'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see like how they handle. Since now in this generation of gaming, we have like DLC and everything, and you didn't
Yeah.
really have that before, so it'll be interesting to see how they like expand the game if they choose to do that.
Hmm.
But it's
Now,
definitely a solid starting point.
traditionally, how did they go moving forward? I know they couldn't add necessarily to the game. Did they like put out a new edition of the game or
Yeah,
something
I
like
think it
that
was
with more
like
Pokemon?
yeah, I think that's how it like we're in our eighth generation. So like previous generations, you'd have like your first one. Like in the beginning, you had your green, blue, and red, and then they put out like the leaf green or the fire red,
Hmm.
and then I forget what they called the yellow one, but it was kind of like they'd add a little bit more to it and just give it a bit of a different name from what the original iteration is. So it'll be interesting to see how they do this, how they move forward with it. If they
So we're
do
gonna
DLC
see.
to expand on this game, or if they bring out another one.
Hmm. We're gonna
You
see
know,
Pokemon Gun next year.
Pokemon Gun and Armor.
Yeah, Pokemon Gun and Helmet.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's
Pokemon.
definitely
Yeah.
it's definitely good. It's solid. If you're a Pokemon fan, it's definitely a good pickup. Definitely one that you can kind of like pick up and play on the go because you don't always need that multiplayer feature that's in there as well.
Yeah. Is there any? Have you come across any drawbacks? Any like issues that you've come across?
Not really. It's come out pretty well. Like the connectivity between players has worked well.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had like any sort of like crash. I haven't noticed any lag really since it's still pretty a basic game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they've done a pretty good job launching it. So
Okay. Cool. All right. So that is Pokemon Sword and or Pokemon Shield. Um,
yep.
you said you had gotten Shield, right?
Yeah, I myself am playing Shield. My son
Okay.
has Sword and my brother has Sword.
Okay. Who did you start with? What was your starter?
I started with God, I'm gonna fuck up its name. Squabble, the water Pokemon.
Okay. Sobble?
Um, Sobble. Yeah, there we go.
The depressed one?
Yeah, because like I've always started like it's always been start with the fire Pokemon, start with the leaf Pokemon, and
Mm-hmm.
I've never really started with like the water type. But he's actually for a starter, he's pretty good.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so that's Pokemon. Thank you for joining us on this very special episode of Voxel Viewpoint. If you'd like to hear or see more, please consider subscribing to us on your favorite podcast app, subscribing to us on YouTube, or visiting voxelvoice.com, where all of our great content comes together in one place. Also check out the Voxel Voice Facebook group, where you can join in on the discussion with a great, like-minded community.